So, welcome. You may have been searching for me, and well, here I am. And I'm about to do the worst glow up ever before recorded in history. But first, I would like to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Tece. I am 27, FTM trans, and well, I am in a really shitty situation in my life. I'm unable to get a job. Um, yeah, I can't work a normal job. I live in my parents' house, obviously, and I am overweight and such. And yeah, a little bit about my backstory. Um, when I was little, I was kind of a silly, rebellious kid, kind of a very lonely kid. And, you know, I, you know, I was pretty lonely because I was bullied at school and I didn't really have a good home life. And so I tried really hard in school and I ended up being one of, I ended up doing really well in school and getting, A's and doing my homework and, overall just being a good kid. And I ended up in college and where, found out I was trans and, started that process and also studied really hard to, be like a film major. And I ended up crashing out big time and developing a mental illness because I seemed like I had the perfect life. I had lots of friends, I did lots of clubs, I was working really hard. At college, I had a couple jobs to pay for things, and it just all collapsed into like a black hole or something. And I ended up spending the last 6, 7 years, 6, 7. Um, I ended up spending that in kind of a shitty hell situation where I ate practically nothing but junk food. Um, and I did therapy, and the meds made me miserable. And I would just spend all day just, watching YouTube, doing nothing, sleeping, and just being the person that everyone saw as a burden. Nothing new, but still painful. And I thought I was content. I thought, well, this is life. That's all it is. I'm just going to suck for the rest of my life. Even though, but I did try. I did try to be better. I tried the vegan diet, whole food plant based, and I wasn't like salads and fruit. Like, I put in the carbs, I put in the beans, and I didn't eat rely on the junk food. And I would find myself starving no matter how much I ate. I would eat plate after plate and end up starving still and just caving in to cravings. And I would try a workout routine. I tried to go to the gym and do cardio, and I couldn't last 5 minutes on a treadmill, not because I couldn't do it, but because it was just so soul sucking to just stand there and walk. And I couldn't work a job. I would try to work a job at traditional kind of job at like fast food or like Amazon and maybe I would last like a month and I would just break down. I couldn't do it. I would just have mental breakdowns and just quit. I was kind of the worst employee. I'd put in the effort for like a day or two, full effort, and then I'd just start calling out at random before I just eventually never came back. And yeah, the last job I had, I tried to work at Chipotle, and well, yeah, I lasted like 3 days before I was like, oh, fuck this, and just walked out. And yeah, I was on the verge of, just giving up and applying for disability and going, well, this is my life now. I guess I'm just going to rot away and die. And yeah, it got so bad at one point that I even tried to kill myself by slamming a weight into my head, and somehow I survived, and without really any injuries or even losing consciousness. And the hospital never looked at me or anything. They checked me out for like 5 minutes and were like, yeah, you don't need to be scanned or anything, you're fine. And somehow I lived. And yeah, in the past several months, I have my illness got worse. You know, I was losing touch with reality every single day. I was begging for the doctors to help. You know, I was in and out of the hospital and nobody took me seriously. And so I ended up kind of, you know, it couldn't get any worse. I kind of ended up making, you know, kind of deal with the devil, so to speak. And he showed me some things, lots of things, you know, where I could improve in my life and make a life actually worth living. And in return, you know, I'd have to show you all too. So that leaves me here with the worst glow up in history, where I'm going to follow his advice and see how well it works. And that advice is going to come in the form of many things. And one of it's being this YouTube channel, because I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. So, you know, and I might, you know, bend the rules a little bit. But anyway, so the kind of videos I want to make, I really want to like, maybe do like some diet videos, like the diet I'm following now, which it's a bit controversial, but it works for me. You know, I'm doing the carnivore diet, which normally isn't recommended, but somehow it's been working really well for me so far. It's been a couple weeks and I haven't gotten the keto flu or the carnivore shit, so in fact my digestion's better. So yeah. And I also want to make some videos following that, and I also want to make some videos following, you know, some art, because I'm really passionate about it, and, you know, talking about various issues based on what I've learned and studied under, you know, the devil's mentorship. And I also want to, you know, I just want to make whatever videos I want. And, well, yeah, take it or leave it. So, you know, as you can tell, I'm a little nervous making this video. It's been a hot minute since I've attempted to make videos. But yeah, you can follow my channel if you want. No pressure. In fact, you don't really have to. I'm gonna make the videos anyway. And yeah, you can come along for the ride if you like, but I'm doing this for me. So yeah, goodbye.